Hi, this is my review of Thunderscape, the World of Aden. Thunderscape, the World of Aden is a campaign setting for the Pathfinder RPG. It's based on the old PC game Thunderscape. Well, I haven't played the other game called Entomorph, and I haven't read the books, but this is a fairly complex campaign setting. It has a unique theme that mixes a dark fantasy with steampunk, a bit of sci-fi, and sometimes it's high fantasy too. Well, let me talk about the PC game first, so you can understand some of the choices that the designers made for this PDF. Thunderscape is a dungeon crawl game in first-person view, where you start to move around in different dungeons and caves, but it's not very user-friendly. It's those games where it's sometimes somewhat handy to make a map. So to see where you are going, because many of the passages through the caves and the dungeons look the same. You control a party of adventurers, and there are some classes or archetypes, but there really isn't a class system. You can customize your characters any way you want. You could have a warrior that also uses magic, or a thief that uses healing spells, and it balances out pretty well. The system is pretty decent to use if you want to create a character just the way you want it, breaking all stereotypes and cliches. However, I think there needed to be a bit more polish in the theme and of course the gameplay mechanics. But it was in 1995, I think, when they released that game. So some flaws are acceptable considering the technology limitations. Well, in this book, you get the setting from that game, and the basic theme is this. There was a catastrophe called the Darkfall, and the Darkfall, the world of Aden was completely covered in darkness, like as if the sun suddenly went out, and all sorts of nightmarish creatures started to appear, and they started attacking people, and the nations have conflicts between themselves, but when the Darkfall appeared, some of them started to unite against them, and of course some other nations actually betrayed the other nations of the World of Aden. They united with the Darkfall. The theme of the first PC game is about that, about a treachery, how one of those nations caused a barrier to be powered down, so that the Darkfall forces penetrated the different cities and caused all sorts of havoc and chaos and mayhem. And well, in this PDF, let me talk about the quality first, because it's pretty good. It has some excellent illustrations. You have colored maps and all sorts of images depicting different classes and monsters. I'm going to be showing quite a few of them as I review the book, the PDF. But however, there is a small complaint that I have about the apostrophes and some parts of the text. For example, let me see if I can show you. As you can see here, sorry about that. Here in this part, you can see Aden's history, and every time there is an S following an N or a similar consonant, you get a little square. And that's a mistake, an error on their part. I think this is the only PDF that I've had that shows that type of error. But besides that, it's very easy to navigate this PDF. It has hyperlinks, virtual table of contents, and you can really find the things you are looking for when playing a game. You can find all sorts of references and powers. Well, the book starts by detailing the different races of Aden. Some of them are pretty standard. You have your dwarves, your elves, and your humans. They are basically the same that you would find in the Pathfinder role-playing game core book, or in the Advanced Player's Guide, Advanced Races Guide. But some of them are unique to the setting. For example, you have the Fairkin, and the Fairkin, you may think that they look a bit like halflings, but they have all sorts of fairy blood running through their veins. And these different bloodlines are kind of like the sorcerer bloodlines, that they receive certain powers and abilities because of them. Let me show you an image of a Furkin. Let me see. Oh, here it is. Okay. As you can see, it does look a bit like a halfling, but with horns and some hoops down there. You also have the Pharons. Now the Pharons are kind of look like lycanthropes or like werewolves or werebears. They are basically half human and like humanoid beasts. For example, here you have a rhinoceros, like a half man, half rhinoceros. And according to the type of beast that they represent, they have different powers and abilities. You also have the Goro. I think it's pronounced Goro because I don't know, it has like an X at the end. And they are basically goblins, but they also have a lot of skill when handling high technology and steam technology. And you have your half-elves, of course you know about half-elves. And you have the Jurak, which are basically half-orcs. The Rapashians are basically lizard men, but I think they look a bit more tough than your standard lizard men. You can see right here. And you have Echoes, which are a mysterious race of people. They are kind of like an enigma. They look a lot like shadow people. Let me show you an image. And you have the Illithics that are kind of like a hive mind race, like half insect, humanoid insects. A lot of them are evil, but some of them are at the very least neutral, so it's possible to integrate them in your party. And you also have a list of languages and names, about country names and the types of names you can use to name your characters, and the classes. Now, when I first heard about this game, this campaign setting, I was a bit curious about how they would handle the class system, because as I told you, in the PC game there are no classes. You can create all sorts of characters with different magical abilities and thief skills and warrior combat prowess. And here they handle it pretty well by, of course, they separate it into class because this is a Pathfinder game, but I don't feel constrained or limited by the choices. The first class is the Arbiter. Now the Arbiter is like a very tactical warrior that specializes in the use of a shield, and it's actually quite resilient, quite tough. It has a 12-sided die of hit points, and it has the ability to switch from offensive to defensive tactics and take advantage of attacks of opportunity, all sorts of things related to that. And you have the Entomancer. Now the Entomancer is a pretty cool class because it's basically a caster that summons a swarm of insects. It has everything to do with insects. It's an alternate class of the druid, but you can manipulate this swarm in many different ways. That's almost like an animal companion, but you can also make an armor out of your swarm. Imagine like covered in bees, for example, and you can turn yourself into a swarm as well. You also have the Fallen. Now the Fallen reminds me a bit of some of the old Wizard of the Coast supplements, handling taint and different things like that, because the Fallen are a race that were contaminated, or a class contaminated by the Darkfall. So they have that evil energy, like a stigma upon them, but they use this energy to power their attacks and their intimidation and different skills. You also have the Golemoid, and the Golemoid are pretty much your fantasy version of cyborgs. But instead of having cybernetic parts, they have golem parts. And you have the Mecha Mage, a mage that specializes in combining magic and technology. And this is one of the things I like the most about the Thunderscape PC game, how the magic and technology exists in a very unique way, contrary to some other ways that you could handle them, like saying, oh, everything is magic or everything is technology. Here they look like two separate forces that integrate quite nicely, and the Mecha Mage specializes in combining those things. And the Mecha Mage can also have a golem as a familiar. That's pretty cool. Like an animal companion of sorts. You have the seer, and the seer can see a lot. He has a lot of prophetic abilities about omens and far sight. So it's going to be really hard for the game master to hide things from the seer. But it also has like a flaw. The thing that happens is that the Darkfall denizens and the monsters are always trying to kill the seer, because they know that the seer can see into the unknowable qualities and causes of the Darkfall. Because the Darkfall, nobody knows exactly why the Darkfall happened, or who initiated it. So the seer is a character class that probably has the best chance to unravel the mysteries around the Darkfall. So he's going to be chased around by the monsters and nightmarish creatures, because they don't want the seer to reveal that information. You also have the Steamwright, and the Steamwright is a character that is basically like a mechanic or a scientist. This class doesn't specialize in using magic. It specializes in creating all sorts of inventions that he can use in an offensive way. Like maybe you can create a huge machine gun-like creation, or maybe some other gadgets with different effects, and you can customize them as well, like other classes in Pathfinder. You also have the Thaumaturge. Now the Thaumaturge reminds me a bit of the Pathfinder class in the core book. I forget that name, the Pathfinder Scholar, I forget it. But the Thaumaturge is a caster that can summon the living legends of the past. So for example, if you want to fight up close and personal, you can summon the spirit of a warrior, and suddenly you have all these close combat abilities. Or maybe you need to be stealthy, well, you could summon the spirit of a legendary thief. And so a Thaumaturge communicates with the spirits of legends. The Thunder Scout is like kind of like the Cavalier, but instead of having a mount, the Thunder Scout rides a steam-powered motorcycle or some other type of vehicle. That's pretty cool. You can imagine the Thunder Scout riding his steam bike and shooting around with maybe a steam gun or some other ranged weapon. It looks pretty cool, and there are a lot of options to customize the Thunder Scout, so he can work in a tactical way with his steam-powered mount. And well, you also get tips on how to modify existing core classes. For example, the Barbarian could be a raider, and you get all sorts of abilities related to raiding, of course. And the Scientist is an alchemist archetype, more akin, putting alchemy aside and focusing more on the technology, on the steam technology of the World of Aden. And you can tweak different things in the setting with the archetypes. Now, another trait that looks pretty interesting is the folk magic trait. This is a new trait that allows every character to know a bit of magic. And so this is what I like of the Thunderscape world, or the World of Aden. They can integrate magic and technology without one overlapping, so the other doesn't lose the spotlight. So with the folk magic trait, every character can know a bit of magic, and it reminds me a bit of the Dying Earth novels. And you also get some new traits, so your character feels like a part of the World of Aden, and also has different mechanics and small abilities that can enhance gameplay overall. And you get new feats related to steam technology, to magic, also a lot of feats related to piloting and driving, because this is a very steam heavy campaign. You can see all sorts of vehicles and strange weaponry, so you need a lot of feats for the character to take the fullest advantage of those technological marvels. Let me show you a bit of the images related to the game. Well, this is going to take a bit to load. Okay. You also get a timeline of different events of the World of Aden. You get the prehistory and different eras and ages, but also it talks about the radical changes that happened after the Darkfall, how the World of Aden turned into this brooding, very dark and threatening place just because the sun went out for a bit. And you also get more about the life in Aden, languages, cosmology, the calendar and seasons, government, philosophy, different fates, and this is a part of the game that I think failed a bit, or maybe it's just a nitpick. For example, you have so many awesome sounding philosophies and fates. For example, you have the Radiant Path, or Way of the Ten Beasts, or the Benevolent Miasma, and you have the War of the Sky. You have all those cool sounding names, and one of those fates or religions, it's called the Church of All Saints. And the Church of All Saints just sounds really out of place, with so many cool names related to beasts and miasma and other planar things. And you get the Church of All Saints. I don't know, maybe it would have been cooler to call it, I don't know, the Temple of Legends, or I don't know, the Refuge of Archons, something like that. But the Church of All Saints sounds a bit too normal for me. And you also have information on how the different nations interact with each other, the conflicts between nations, and how they sometimes unite against the Dark Foe. And you also get new spells and animated object statistics, but there's also a huge chapter. Well, considering the length of the book, that it's 227 pages, it's a pretty good chapter detailing all sorts of items, weapons, and technological advances. You have all these cool weapons that look like out of a sci-fi film, but remember, almost everything is powered by either steam or magic, so it still has that unique World of Aden feeling. And you also get materials and different siege engines, ways to customize vehicles, and there are some tweaks to the rules that you find in the Pathfinder Ultimate Combat Guide related to the use of firearms and vehicles. For example, in this campaign setting, it's more feasible to use guns and armor, because guns don't negate or cancel the armor class bonus, because as you well know, if you use a firearm at a certain distance, the armor class is cancelled, but not here. So it's pretty common to see a warrior wielding a gun and wearing a full set of plate armor. Look, here's an image of the Thaumaturge summoning the soul of a warrior. As you can see, there's like a ghostly or psychic armor around him. And you also get a chapter about golems and golemization, about different implants, and you also get information about vehicle maneuvers. And now the bestiary, I think the bestiary is a bit short, to be honest. And if memory doesn't fail me, I think there are a lot of other monsters that appeared in the game and that did not appear in this bestiary. But considering this is going to be a supported product, it says here on the book that they are going to keep releasing supplements. Maybe they are saving those monsters for those supplements. And you also have more information about the nature of the Dark Foe. Overall, it's a pretty complete book, but those who played all the old PC games may feel a bit like, I don't know, like it lacks something, but it's more of a nitpick really, because you get everything for a good campaign setting. Oh look, here is a Thunder Scout with the vehicle I was telling you about. As you can see, it's a cavalier, but riding a steam-powered motorcycle. And well, let me give you my final verdict of this supplement. It's a pretty good supplement. You get a lot of information to carry out a lot of campaigns and to customize your Pathfinder characters for this particular world. But I still think that, I don't know, maybe I wanted a lot more, because I really like the game, even though it has some rough edges, the PC game. I was expecting more references to that game, or the adventures that you live in that game. But I really recommend this product because it's a good way to give a radical twist or turn to your campaigns. In Pathfinder you get Steam-based technology and also a dark fantasy, though both of them are rarely combined in such an efficient way as in this book. And you also have all those cool character options, because the classes in this supplement don't feel overpowered or completely epic, but at the same time they offer a lot of choices, a lot of customization. Having a golem fighting beside you, or riding this steam-powered motorcycle, or having an armor made out of swarm, and manipulating this swarm all around the battlefield gives you a lot of options and fun ways that are not always seen in other campaign settings. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you are a fan of the PC game, I think you should definitely get this, just for the nostalgia value. And if you are not, I suggest that you get this game, and if you like it, you should purchase the PC game. It's on googlegames.com, GOG.com. It's quite fun, but it's a difficult game. Well, see you next time.